Blessings of abundance, my love. You're tuned into the Cafecito and Tarot podcast. It is me, Nicole P, your spiritual barista, serving you up wisdom, guidance, and inspiration from the cards. My love, I'm recording this episode on Sunday, May 3rd. It's a glorious day here in the Midwest. And this is the brew, the weekly brew for you. I'm going to be pouring some reflections on the Hierophant, one of the major arcanas for Taurus season. And before I do, I want to first of all say thank you so much for inviting me into your personal atmosphere. It truly is an honor to be in space with you and be connected to you, and I'm honored that that you allow me to pour you the brew. Really, it's truly an honor. And I'm going to ask a solid of you. Now, if you've done this already, let me just say thank you so much. My love and appreciation. If you have not done this, I would be so honored, and it would mean the world to me if you could take some moments to leave a rating and review on your listening platform of choice. That is a rating and review for the Cafecito and Tarot podcast. Rating and reviewing podcasts is one of the ways that you can help creators or creatives such as myself get the word out about our work. So much of this is a labor of love, and many times we fund and support and do all the things for these endeavors and these projects and these labors of love. And one of the ways that you can help us is to rate and review. And I say that, of course, I want you to do that for my podcast, but I say that for other creatives too. It's something to be aware of, right? Taking a few moments to do that just makes a world of difference. So back to me, the Leo and me, back to me, all about me right now in this moment. If you could take a time to do that, to rate and review the Cafecito and Tarot podcast, that would mean the world to me. Thank you so much. My love and appreciation. The third thing I want to say before we get into the Hierophant is that this brew that I serve is a reflection of life, right? It's tarot as a tool to reflect on life, wisdom, guidance, and inspiration, right? I want to acknowledge that a lot of what comes through on the brew is filtered through my life experience, through my own interpretations of life, of the cards, and my experiences, right? I do at times believe that there's messages from spirit that comes through, and then I do believe that it is also my conscious mind that comes through. So it's a blend of both. So I want to acknowledge that. And although we explore here so many themes of life, all the things of living life, the magical, mystical, and the mundane. And sometimes the mundane is hard, and we explore these things through the brew here at the Cafecito and Tarot podcast. But by no means is this a replacement for a bomb-ass therapist, okay? If you need some bomb-ass therapy, I hope that you find a bomb-ass therapist, right? This isn't a replacement for any professional help or advice. This is me, a Gen X tarot reader, sipping on some cafecito, serving brew, and with the intent to, have an impact, and that's what it's about. So if you need some bomb-ass therapy, I hope you find some bomb-ass therapy. I hope you find a really great therapist or resources in your area. So that's what I have to, from time to time, make sure that I put that out there. And so without further ado, I think that's it. That's what I wanted to share in the beginning of this episode. So my love, get out your cup, get comfy, because I'm about to pour you the brew. The tarot brew, that is. Let's get into it. All right, my love. The Hierophant. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like this card. And I think it has to do with, it pains me to say it, but I think it has to do with the image that Pamela Coleman Smith, aka Pixie, has offered to the world. May she rest in power, peace, and pleasure. I'm referencing the Rider Waite Smith deck that many people call it. I call it the Pamela Coleman Smith deck, the Pixie deck, and that is a hill that I will forever stand on. Okay, so I have Pamela Coleman Smith's deck out, and I have the Hierophant, and I also have the five. So the Hierophant is five, like the number five in the major arcanas, and I love to pull out the corresponding numbers of the minors and see how it all relates and reflect upon that, sip upon that, right? So I have all the fives out. So the five of swords, five of pentacles, five of cups, and five of wands, and you could do so as well if you so choose. But like the Pamela Coleman Smith image, I think because it's so very church, like the imagery right away, I just go to like organized religion in church, and there's messages definitely in that. I think there's definitely messages in the symbolism that she has offered us through the image of the Hierophant. And Rachel Pollack in her book 78 Degrees of Wisdom is offers such like a wonderful breakdown of the symbolism in this card and connecting it to religion. And it's phenomenal. I really love what Rachel Pollack has offered to the world, and many reflections of tarot, but in particular with the Hierophant is actually very, very fascinating. Of course, once again, in relationship to the image of the Hierophant from the Pamela Coleman Smith image. Okay, so but it's one of those cards that when I pull the Hierophant for my personal read, like my personal reflections, I pull the card and I'm like, Spirit, what do you want me to do with that? What do you want me to do with this? Like, what do you want me to do with this? But it's one of those cards, and I think that's like in and of itself a beautiful message, right? When you pull a card and you're like, what do you want me to do with this? Like sometimes what you need to do with it is sit, right? And sometimes you need to reflect. Like sometimes we pull cards and it's right away, like through the images, whatever deck that you use, right? In the images right away, or the meaning, it's like green light, go, right? It's just, there's like meaning that comes right away. There's things that we can relate it to that either we're living or have lived or are aspiring to live, whatever it may be. But the Hierophant, for me, when it gets pulled, it's like, ooh, what do you want me to do with this? And that message in of itself, where you just pause and like, what does this mean? I mean, I think that is a message, right? Especially nowadays, right? Where we're moving so quick, so fast. Technology's fast. We have these phones, and sometimes like that message of like, whoa, I gotta sit and sip on this for a while. I mean, of course, when you pull cards and you have some immediate meanings, there's still time and there's not time. There's still invitations to take the time to reflect further, no doubt. But like for me, the Hierophant comes out and it's like a hard stop, but not like a stop like slamming the door in your face, but more of a stop of like, wait, pause. Like this isn't just the surface. Like you've got to pause and you've got to be in reflection and you've got to be slow in your roll to really delve down and like scratch at the layers, right? It reminds me, I think of this book, I think it was like Ana Castillo, Peel My Love Like an Onion. I think that's what it is, like the layers of onion. I love, it was a great book, by the way. But the layers of an onion, right? The layers of earth, like the layers when you dig and dig and dig. And I said, oh, when I was reflecting, I said, that's a message of itself. Like that's a message of herself, not of itself, excuse me. Not everything is instant, bada bing, bada boom, right? And I know that as humans, right, we want to find meanings, we want to make sense of things. And I also think like our nervous systems and how we interpret time and how we want shit like right away, has been greatly impacted by the settler colonial capitalism in modern times, right? The neo-settler colonial capitalism of like this instant, fast, see it quick, move on. And the Hierophant, and very fitting, right? Very fitting for Taurus season, is like slow, wait, not all that is to be reflected upon, not all that is to be consumed, not all that is to be learned happens instantly. It's not like instant. It's not instant success. It's not instant meaning. It's meant to be savored. It's meant to be slowed. Like, it's purposeful to be inquisitive. It's actually good to be like, I don't freaking know what the heck is supposed to come out of this. Like, I don't know what this means. And that's a message in and of itself. And that came to me this morning when I'm recording in my bedroom. It's glorious. I'm in my bed actually, sipping my cafecito, and I was praying and reflecting on like, what is this? Like, what needs to come out? And I was kind of nervous about recording this episode because I'm like, I don't know what I want to say. But really, like, everything that I experienced in my reflection and all of this is the meaning of the Hierophant, is the meaning of the Hierophant, of not knowing and still taking action, not knowing and still trusting, not knowing or understanding, but still saying, I don't know and understand, and I'm still going to engage. I'm still going to ponder. I'm still going to move forward. And I wait, let me pause for a second. Hold on one second. Let me just pause. And let me just feel into this. Because I have my notes, but I feel like I really need to pause. And just take a breath and feel what needs to come out. What is the message that needs to come out? Okay. This one thing that I really respect and admire about the evolution of tarot, of creatives that are doing the work, creating their own decks or working with artists, not AI generated caca. But there's so many great ways that folks have transformed the image of the Hierophant in some newer decks. I love Christy C. Rhodes' Next World Tarot. She has the teacher and she has the messenger. And my cousin's daughters, they gave me a tarot deck. They gave me their tarot deck. They had it and they gifted it to me. And it's Tarot for All Ages. Precious, precious deck. So if you have children, it's great for adults too, but if you were like, wanted to have tarot with children, I think this is a really precious deck. And the Hierophant in that deck is the mentor. So, that's like, and that message is there as well with the Hierophant, Pamela Coleman Smith's image as well. But I think there's so many, and I think because of the times that she created this image, Pixie, the imagery is so connected to like organized sort of religious figures. And, but really in essence, it's about, so much is about teaching and learning and being a messenger. And another thing that comes out of in reflections that folks have offered on the Hierophant is a Hierophant connected to values, and that's very Taurus, right? I mean, I think we all, regardless of our signs, sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, and house and other planet placements, but values are really, really a strong theme of Taurus season and also the Hierophant. And when we think of the Hierophant, so values, right? What do I want to say about values? I think it's something to reflect upon, right? And I'm gonna tie values back in there. So values, that's one thing that we see a lot in people reflecting or sharing reflections of the Hierophant. But I'll tie that back in. But with the Hierophant, here's where I want to go. Here's where I want to go with this. The Hierophant. So if we think about the High Priestess, right? The Hierophant is like the other half of the High Priestess, right? If the High Priestess is the moon, the Hierophant is the sun. If the High Priestess is the underworld, the Hierophant is the cosmos. And so much when we reflect on the hieroph or the excuse me the high priestess. So it's like Hierophant would be like a high priest, right? If you are a person that in your reflections with tarot or with energies genders things, you could say there would be feminine, male energy if you subscribe to that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. I'm just offering that for folks that do. Um, but so I like to think of it more as moon and sun. And I know that, yes, the sun is connected to Leo energy, but is if the high priestess is the moon, the Hierophant is like sun energy, right? The high priestess is a card of this internal, right? Internal wisdom of hearing so much. And I feel the high priestess is so much connected to underworld energy, but it's like this, so much internal, right? It's like internal. And I feel like the Hierophant is the high priestess in action. So if the high priestess is where our like intuitive connection happens and these reflections and this connection to the moon energy, however it is, it's like the high priestess is where we're sitting at our altars. We're on the, if those who practice yoga or meditation pillows, right? It's when we're in at our altares, when we're on the mats. The Hierophant is when we get off of the mat and when we apply what we've received in the high priestess energy and we put it in action and we match that to our values. And so that's how I feel from the Hierophant, right? That's where I feel like some of the message of reflection is that how, right? How are we living out in our lives the lessons, the intuitive hits that we receive from the high priestess? Like the Hierophant is all of that in action, because it's not enough to be in prayer and meditation. We have to put our prayers and meditation in action, right? And how do we put our prayers and actions and meditations that align with our values in our daily actions and also in connection to larger collective movements? The Hierophant, let's see, I am going to go to my notes now here. The Hierophant is an energy of belief. And I pulled the Magician. I'm just going to say this for my own reading for this week ahead. I pulled the Magician with two other cards. And belief was coming up so much around belief and my own reflections. And I set my incantations for this week. And then so I asked myself, what's the difference between the belief of the Magician and the belief in the Hierophant? Because the Hierophant has energy of belief. So we have values, we have action, right? And we have belief. And the belief from the Hierophant, I feel, comes from how we learn and embody our life lessons. I have the 3 or the 4, right, 5s pulled out. So I have the 5 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, 5 of Cups, and 5 of Wands pulled out. And I have the Hierophant right below. And when I look at those 4 cards, those 4 minor arcanas, and with the Hierophant as the base and the foundation, the Hierophant reminds us that we have lived a lot, right? We have lived life and we have learned through living life. Hopefully we continue to learn through living life. Sometimes we don't learn and the lessons keep on coming back, and that is what it is, right? But when I look at those 4, minor arcanas and the 5s, right? 5s, we see with the Swords, Pentacles, Cups, and Fire, Wands, we see there's some sort of either a struggle. We see grief. we just see that there's movement and yet stillness, right? And the number five reminds me of just how sometimes like these lessons that we have in life, right? And it's like um, when we have these life lessons. I guess that's all I want to say with it. I was going to try to expand upon that, but it's not coming to me. So, life lessons. And so the Hierophant, when I look at those cards, it's really, yeah, I encourage you to do so. It's interesting. The Hierophant, when I see that in connection to the minors, the Hierophant reminds us of that, yes, this energy is an outward expression of the High Priestess, our values, our and wisdom in action. But the Hierophant reminds us then the badasses that we are, right? The badasses that we are. And that life has taught us a thing or two. And that there's no need to hide out any longer. I started thinking about how the Hierophant can be a call for us to really release, to address and release, because we have, to bring awareness, address and release, right? Because we got to bring awareness to things, address it and release it. But I was thinking about imposter syndrome, right? Because there's this part about the Hierophant, and I think even with this image of the Pendleton Smith pixie image with these keys that are apparent at the feet of the footing of the image of the Hierophant, and the keys to like internal wisdom, into ancestral wisdom, and then just to life, like the keys to open up to doors, and I feel as if one of the messages of the Hierophant is about imposter syndrome. Especially when I see these four minors laid out in front of the Hierophant, I feel this call of like how we stop ourselves from showing up and shining bright, right? How sometimes we think we're not enough, how sometimes we think we need more, how sometimes we think we don't have the answers, and we do have the answers within. And that doesn't mean that we don't ever need help and support from community. That doesn't mean that at all. But the Hierophant is like, there's no need to hide out anymore. You have a message to share. You have wisdom to share. You have gifts to share, however that is. And that kind of connects to that mentor image from the Tarot for All Ages a deck. And also the Christy C. Road Next World Tarot, which I love. And I think is a tarot deck for these times. And a great deck to have to add to your collection. But the Hierophant has this way of like, wait a minute, what are your values? How are you living your values in action? How are you standing up, right, to outdated paradigms and saying, wait a minute, I no longer am going to fit into those boxes, and I have what I need. I believe in myself. I believe in the life that I have lived, and I believe in the life that is yet to live, to be able to put my values in action, to put my wisdom in action. It reminds me of how sometimes we look to others, and we all should look to others. Like, we need to, like, communal, like, storytelling and shared experiences is the foundation of existence. I acknowledge that 100%. And there are times that, yes, right? It's so validating and inspiring to hear others speak and share their stories, and to be able to bask in the glory of shared experience. And it's so important to be also to say, I have that wisdom within me. I have this connection to this wisdom within me. It's this way of being able to also have this spiritual, spirituality as an everyday, and spirituality as the experiences that you have had in this lifetime that have brought you to where you are today. And not doubting. And if doubt comes up, you're able to address it, make friends with it, and wish it on its way. But there's this way of not stopping yourself or not stopping ourselves from showing up and shining bright, right? And it takes time to be able to connect into sometimes that internal wisdom and that internal knowledge and the fuel and what we need to move forward with that. And I don't know if that makes any sense, because there's this way of how I started this episode talking about not knowing and not understanding, like, what am I supposed to do with this, with the Hierophant, and the journey of actually sitting with the Hierophant and actually exploring the connection of the Hierophant with the four minors, the five of air, earth, water, and fire, and actually sifting it through, and coming to the conclusion. That in of itself is like the message of the Hierophant. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to piece all of that together, but those are that's just kind of what came out. This way of the Hierophant, being the sun to the moon and the high priestess. It just reminds me of a lot of a podcast that I was listening to a little bit ago, and the person was saying, they were talking about, oh, I forgot what podcast it was, but they were talking about they are starting to do more video, and they didn't like video. They're really resistant to video, but they know that that is one of the avenues for them to be able to be connected to more folks and share their message on a larger scale. And they were talking about that they may not like doing something, but they're not going to let what they don't like to do stop them from sharing their message, stop them from connecting to other folks. And that's a piece of the Hierophant as well, right? Like, I think when we put our vision, our mission, our intentions, not only on a personal level, but also how it impacts and affects the micro, meso, and macro, how it affects our immediate community and the larger collective, we're able to tap into courage, and we're able to tap into this way of like moving forward with something, even if we may not like it, but we know it's the way in which we will be able to connect greater with community and sharing our wisdom and sharing our stories. It's this dance between the practical and also the spiritual. And I think that's what I was trying to get at, because I was like, the spirituality, a lived experience, but I couldn't put the words to it, right? It's spirituality in motion. It's past experiences in motion, in action. And I think the thing with the Hierophant and Taurus season of really slowing down, right? And seeds that we're planting, we may not see the fruits of this for many cycles to come, but it's being very intentional and slowing down and say, what do I value now? And especially reflecting on past life, like, where have I come? What has transpired up until now? How have I shifted? How have I changed? And what really are my values now? What do I want to do with this precious, wonderful life? And how do I want to share this precious, wonderful life and life force and energy with others? Yeah. So there's themes of like imposter syndrome that come up. The Hierophant may be like, where's that at? Where's that in your consciousness, in your body, this imposter syndrome? And where are that false reality, right? Bringing awareness to it to once again be able to release it, right? There's issues that are the themes of confidence also in the Hierophant. And I think the other thing about the Hierophant is that we're always in a dance as a teacher and also as a student, right? We never stop learning. And I think that is the outward expression of the High Priestess, and the fact that life is a classroom, right? And we're constantly learning. We're constantly learning about ourselves. And then when we interact in our communities and with others, with our loved ones and our brew crew or whoever it is, we also learn from that as well. And so it's not enough to solely be in communion with the astral realms and with the spirits, right? We got to come into with the human. We got to come into life, right? We got to plant the seeds and we got to commune with others. And that's the other part of spirituality is the high priestess in action, is the Hierophant, is an aspect of the Hierophant, right? So, what does the Hierophant mean to you? Like, what are some of the things that come up when you see this card, when you feel that card? And it could be the one of the cards in a deck in a newer creation that you have, or newer creative deck that you have, or tarot deck that you have. All right, and I think that it's an interesting exercise to pull out the four minors, right, of the fives, of the five of air, earth, water, and fire, and to take time to say, what have I learned in these four areas with these elements? And what has transpired? What is being planted, right, from that? What are values? What values have shifted from that? Where am I no longer fitting in to once was and where I hoped to be, or the present, right? How do I meet the present at this time? How do I be present in the moment? And how do I also have dreams and aspirations for the future without forsaking the beauty of the present? And taking time to really, really take time and knowing that the answers don't come always right away. Yeah, that's what I got. That was what I got for you. Yeah, I'm actually going to keep this. I think I'm going to come back to this for myself and my own journaling a little bit later tonight, and looking at those minors, the fives, and the Hierophant. Yeah, I really like that. I think I'm going to come back to that this evening. It'll be a great journaling exercise. And yeah, so my love, that's what I got. That was my reflections. That's what came to me about the Hierophant. And yeah, I hope that you are having the best day as possible, or evening, or whatever time of day you listen to this to. Once again, my love for tuning in. Take care for yourself. Make sure to take care of your heart, your spirit, your soul. And sometimes you got to tap out, but don't forget to tap back in, okay? Mad love, and I will be back next week. Take care.